Jason Williams was a coach of the year last season in the Western Conference of the GOJHL, and we're thrilled to have him here today joining us. Jay, just a great season for you guys last year, finishing in third place in what is now the old Western Conference, I guess. What's your excitement level just to continue building and continue on that success that you had last season?
Yeah, every year we've, made little strides to continue to get better. And, that's been our motto, is just trying to continue to get better each and every year. It's tough to do on a consistent basis for sure. You got to make sure that you're bringing in the right players. Probably have to have some luck to make sure some players you maybe retain them for the following year. But last year was, we had a very good young team. I think we had 11 or 12 rookies. For us to be where we, ended up, I don't think many people really expected it. But I think that once teams did play us, they were, pretty surprised at how, young and how quick and how we played the game. And, they found out pretty quickly that we were a team to contend with.
And offensively gifted, right? You had a lot of talent there with Tashina, Mason Landry, obviously. That's one side of it. But as you go into this year, what do you kind of look at as the complete makeup of your team? Like I said, you want to build on that. I think at one point last year, you were tied for first place in the West. You had 18 games where you had at least a point. Awesome stuff. How do you kind of keep that momentum rolling? And what would you like to say about the makeup of your group for this upcoming season?
Yeah, obviously, it's like I said, it's tough every year to retain players. Ficina is moving on, Soulier's moving on, Landry's moving on. I think Jenkin will probably stick with the Knights. He's had a great summer so far, and he had a really good season for us last year. I think that he has a very good chance to make the London Knights and make that jump. So when you're losing, 4 or 5 of your top players, it's very tough to replace those guys. But I think with the nucleus of players that we have coming in, there's always going to be a few players that will surprise you. And we'll need some of those players to step up and make an impact early for us to have success. But I think we're optimistic to see how things will go. But I'm very excited about this new season with the new alignment. I think it's going to be great for the league, playing different teams. And, you have teams like Listowel, you've got Stratford, Kitchener, Waterloo, like they're good hockey teams. So you're consistently playing good teams, and it makes sure that you have to be at your best to get those 2 points every single night.
It's been a change for a lot of people, like you mentioned there with the realignment, right? Going to the two divisions as opposed to the traditional three. The thing that I like about it, Jason, is like you said, almost the variety that you're going to see different teams, that your fans that go to the rink are going to see different teams. Sure, you're going to have those inbred rivalries that you've always had, but it's an opportunity too to see different players from across the league that you and your fans might not be able to see. And if you get yourself into a Sutherland Cup, maybe you've seen that team already, right? Like when you kind of evaluate the realignment, you kind of mentioned it there a little bit, but what are some of the pieces that you really like about the concept that they kind of put in place?
Just like you said, like the different teams, and just the competitiveness. Like I think it just puts a little bit more like the regular season, usually with like the way it was before, 8 teams would make the playoffs. Well, now you have 12 teams in a division. You're going to have a few teams that aren't going to be making the playoffs. So puts a little bit more emphasis on the regular season to make sure that there's no guarantee of getting into the playoffs. And if you want to be one of those top teams, you've got to be in the top 8. So it just, I think, puts a little bit more emphasis, and there's going to be a little bit more competition on game in and game out, where, those 2 points are going to be huge. And anytime that you can, get a 2 points, or whether it's a point, it could end up making it where you're, going to make the playoffs, or you're not going to get into the playoffs.
Let's talk a little bit more about your roster. You mentioned some of those kids that are moving on to those next level opportunities. And I know that that's what this league is about. It's about development and getting these players on to whatever next opportunity that they kind of want to get to. It sounds like, from listening to you speak there a minute ago, like that's something you guys are really proud of in Strathroy. And it's something that you've done pushing these kids onto that next opportunity. How proud are you just as a coach that you've worked with these kids, you've done what you can with them, and now you're seeing them kind of succeed and move on to wherever they want to be.
Well, like you said, this league is a development league. If I think if you look at the London Knights, probably had the best junior team in all of junior hockey last year. Yes, they didn't win the Memorial Cup, but they were very, very good. And I think if you look at their roster, they had 14 players or 15 players that played in our league. So that just says a lot about our league and what we're all about. In Strathroy, that's definitely what we're about. We tell the kids right off the hop that we're looking to move them on to bigger and better things. And when a player moves on, yes, we do get, we're very proud about that. I feel that, these kids want to move on to the next level, and this is just a stepping stone. And I think as a coaching staff and as an organization, if we can provide them with the knowledge and with the game times and everything like that, if we can help them and prepare them for that next level, it speaks volumes on what we're doing as an organization. And when you hear, I was at the NHL coaches combine and I was having a couple conversations. I ran into Adam Dennis, North Bay. And, we've been pretty fortunate that we had Dylan Richter with us as a 16-year-old, and then he came back last year as a guy that when they were trying to make a push for, to get to that OHL final and maybe get to a Memorial Cup. He kind of found himself on the outside looking in. We got him back, and then he went back and helped them during the playoff run. And they said he was a completely different player. So, Adam's like, if you need any players at all, and if you want any players at all, if we're going to place a player, we'll place him in Strathroy. So, it's nice when someone says and compliments your organization like that. And that's what we're trying to do is help these kids, prepare them the best that we can so that they can have success at the next level.
And that kind of dovetails into this. You're going into your fifth year, returning as a head coach in Strathroy. What do you love most about this age group? Like, you've coached minor hockey as well, and obviously you got a long history in hockey, and everybody knows your history. But you've been part of so many different experiences, right? You've had the minor hockey experience. You're a coach with the Elgin Middlesex Canucks, obviously before Strathroy. What are the positive experiences just about the GOJHL? And just coaching here and this age group? What do you like about it the most?
Well, I think you have a mixture of players that are really hungry and want to make that next step, whether it's the OHL. And then you have a couple of kids that are maybe those late bloomers that are looking, okay, maybe if I have a couple good years in, whether it's junior B and then move on to a tier 2 junior A or the Alberta League or the BCHL, whatever it may be. And, they could go a college route and stuff like that. So, I think just the variety of players that you get, even some of the older players going to, Division 3 or CIS or something like that. A lot of these players have aspirations to play at higher levels. And I think that you have a good mixture of, from 16 to 20, you're going to have a good mixture of players that, are looking to move on to that next level. And I think that if you can create that environment where they still have that drive, they still want to get better, they have fun coming to the rink. And, obviously I've played a long time, and in junior hockey, you play those 4 years, they go by fairly quickly, but they're the best 4 years of your life. You remember those things. There's still guys that I, keep in contact, that I played junior hockey with in Peterborough, again, at the NHL coaches clinic there. I was talking to Scott Barney, who's now the head coach of the Sudbury Wolves, and Matt Karpner, who's coaching the East Coast League in Orlando. And just to see those guys and talk to those guys that I played junior with, and just bounce ideas off of and things like that. It's just great to catch up. And hopefully some of these kids, they have some really good memories of playing junior hockey, and it's great just to be part of it.
Who are your key players this year? Just give us some names that the Strathroy community can hear. Players are going to be big contributors. I want to ask your leadership group. It's still July. It's a little bit early for that, but obviously you got some names kind of circled on your team that you think are going to have breakout seasons that again can continue the success of what you built on last year, Jay.
Yeah, no, I think we've got a few like D that are going to be returning. Hayden Duncan, a goaltender for us, had a pretty good season last year. I think that he can build off of that. Ben Gustafson had a good season in Junior C, and hopefully that he can come in and give us kind of that duo that will be able to continue to help us win games and things like that. Our back end, like I said, is pretty solid, I feel. We've got some returning guys that will take steps into they were with us last year. This is kind of their second year. We've got a couple veteran guys back there that will help out as well. And then up front, just a couple of our 16-year-olds, I think. Chamberlain is out of the Toronto area. Denise out of the Barrie area. He played on that really good U16 Barrie team. They're young kids that are very hungry and ready to play. Damian Pancino, he's been a guy that I've coached in minor midget and had him for a few years here. I think Camara will be a guy that will kind of take the next step. He had a very good season last year. Jimmy Sutherland is another OHL draft pick, a late pick, but if he doesn't make the Guelph Storm, he's happy to come back, and he's raring to go. Like I'm doing some training and stuff like that with a lot of these guys right now, and they're definitely hungry. They're ready to take that next step in their game.
That's what I was going to ask you. What's the mindset of the group? The ones that are there, the ones that are returning, like Jimmy Sutherland can put the puck in the net, and sometimes they're really pretty goals too. As you kind of talk to the kids over the summer, you said they're hungry. How close are they, do you think, to that kind of next step that you're referring to?
They're very close. Jimmy's as a player, I think was as 16-year-olds. It's coming into our league. I try to talk to them and get them to understand, like, the first couple months until December, it's a learning curve, and you're going to have some ups and downs. And then usually after that, that December or that Christmas break, usually those 16-year-olds start to find their niche, and they start to take off. And Jimmy was a prime example of that last year. Jenkin kind of made that transition a little bit more fluent, and was able to kind of find his game a little bit earlier. But Jimmy was a guy that, his first junior B was a Michigan goal. Like you said, that he scores some nice goals. And he was just trying to find his confidence. And once he found his confidence, he really kind of relished into the player that I think he wants to be. And, he was the rookie of the month in January. And towards the end of the season in the playoffs, he really kind of scored some big goals for us, and I'm expecting big things out of him. And he's a player that's right on that brink of making that next step for sure.
What did it mean to you and your group? Obviously you were the one who's recognized in London that night as the Western Conference Coach of the Year, but I know that you can't do it without your assistant coaches either. Darren and Dante beside you, kind of helping you out. What did it mean to you, maybe more as a coaching staff, to be recognized like that? Again, like you said at the beginning, you're one of the most improved teams kind of over the course of last season. Just nice, I don't know, cherry on the sundae kind of thing to kind of cap off what was a good year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a collective effort that and I definitely don't take all the credit. The players play the game, and I just provide some sort of guidance for them, and those players, would basically go through the wall for you. And when you have that, you're going to have success as a team. Ken Coleman did a great job with getting a lot of these players to commit to us. And like you mentioned, my brother Darren, Dante, Terry Walters, we had Dave McDonald as our goaltending coach. It's a collective effort for sure. And, yes, I get recognized with it, but by all means, like, the players and the help that I get from my coaching staff, the conversations that we have, and they're great conversations, and I feel that I'm consistently learning every single year. And as a coach, I'm always trying to get better. I know I'm not, there's numerous of coaches that could have gotten that award. And I feel blessed and feel fortunate that I was selected, but I think that there's a lot of good coaches in this league, and they easily could have picked a couple other coaches for sure. But for me, it was great to get that award and great to be recognized. Hopefully we can continue to build off that.
You mentioned Kent Coleman there a minute ago. We'll get into the ownership change in a minute here. In the last week and a half, obviously a lot of news coming out of Strathroy with the purchase of the team from Corey Conacher, former NHLer, who you played against in the NHL, and Andrew Ferlot, who's the new general manager. Let's hear from those two men right now. They talked a little bit about you, Jason, and you returning for your 5th year. Here's those interviews with Corey and Andrew.
He's been to the highest league. He knows how hard it is to make it. He was a guy that worked hard. He was a good teammate. All the players in the league that I've talked to, respect him. They respect the way he played. That hard-nosed guy that got those dirty goals and got some big goals as well. So, I'm excited to work with him. He's going to be fun to work with, and I know, from the years past, or last year especially, the kids appreciate what he did.
Anytime you have a Coach of the Year recipient is really, really big, especially when it comes to young players and developing, like I touched on earlier. The one thing that sticks out just with my brief conversations with him is his dedication, right? The amount of time and effort that he puts in just working within stat and, sending just different things that players need to work on, even right after a game. You're not going to see that with a lot of coaches, and just what he brings to the table is unmatched. So bringing him back is really important.
Corey and Andrew both excited to have Jason back for this upcoming season. Obviously, a nice consistent face for the fans and the players. I know it's been a short period of time, Jason, but what's the synergy been like in the conversations that you're able to have with Andrew and Corey? And I don't know, is there a story that you've got about Corey Conacher playing against him in the NHL?
Not necessarily like a story, but I just remember playing against him. He was a very good hockey player, very competitive. Did a lot of little things right. Had very similar paths in the way we got there. He was undrafted, I was undrafted. And it just goes to show, you keep working at it. It just takes one person to like you, and, being ready for that opportunity. And I think, having, great hockey knowledge, within an organization, I think that is just more beneficial for the kids. Obviously, I've got a lot of experience in all over the world with hockey. Corey does too. And, if we can pass down some of that knowledge to these kids, they're just going to reap benefits from it. And, it's just great to have a guy that's committed to these kids and wants the team to have success. And I'm excited for it, for sure.
New chapter for sure, but we can't talk about the new chapter without talking about Kent Coleman, the contributions that he made to the team, to the organization, and really the greater community. And you were hired in 2020, 2021, like right out of the COVID time. Obviously, Kent was, had been there at that point. You guys have been together for, 4 years, 4.5 years, whatever it was. Just what would you like to say about Kent and the difference he made, for these kids and in the community of Strathroy?
Yeah, Ken was great. Our relationship was extremely professional. And I know that he was the owner and ended up being kind of the sole owner of the team. And the fact that he ended up selling the team, that's his prerogative. I have no issues with that at all. And with our relationship for the last, like you said, 4.5 years, he was a guy that we just constantly had conversation about players and, talked about what we wanted to do and, have success as an organization. And we were on the same page pretty much with like what we want to try to accomplish. And he did a great job of scouting. I know he was at a lot of games and, he put a lot of time and effort into, building this team and building this organization to where it is right now. And, he did a great job. And, I'm thankful that he was able to bring me on and for me to be a part of it.
The community support piece. Let's just talk a little bit about, why it works in Strathroy, kind of as simple as I can put it. You got fans in the seats, you got strong engagement on social media, a lot of different factors go into the success of the team, but it really seems to click, right, with the Rockets, and that's just going to continue, from what Kent built into Corey and Andrew. Again, just touch on the community support and maybe your message, for the fans, just for the upcoming season.
Well, just, for instance, last year, we get into the playoffs and we had a pretty successful season, like you said, and the fan support that we had throughout the entire year was tremendous. I think we were right up near the top for fan support. And if you've been to our building, it's an absolute shoebox. It is so small. But when those fans come to our game and they pack that place, it is a very fun environment for our kids. And our kids, I think, really kind of, really got excited about playing in front of our fans. And, there's some fans that are behind our bench that do enough yelling at the refs that I don't even have to talk to them at all. It's unbelievable. These guys are great. And, we chuckle about it as a coaching staff. And, sometimes I get some dirty looks from the refs, but I'm just like, it's not me. It's the guys behind me. But just the passion that we have in Strathroy. It's a small knit community for sure. But they love their hockey. It's been there for such a long time. I played there, my brother played there, and I can remember watching my brother play there when it was the Strathroy Blades. And you have, lineups down the road for parking because we didn't have actually parking behind the building like we do now. And, when you have, people coming to the rink, midday to lay their blankets down on where they would like to sit, it's just your old time hockey. And it's got that great atmosphere. It's that great feeling. And I couldn't say enough about the support that we've had in the last couple of years from the Strathroy Rocket fans. I hope it continues. And, we hope that we continue to put a good product on the ice that they can be proud of. I think the biggest thing is just if we have a product on the ice that come in and they really give it their all and they see that these kids are working hard, that makes them proud and that brings them back.
Yeah, it's a new chapter, but you got some amazing tradition there. Really, some cool stories there. And sorry you get the dirty looks. Too bad with the fans behind the bench. Great conversation, Jason. Really appreciate the time catching up, and look forward to doing more of this. Talking to Corey and Andrew and yourself. As we do some Strathroy Rockets content here in the next little bit. So great to chat with you. Thanks so much, and honestly, can't wait for September to get this thing going.
Yeah, no, we're definitely looking forward to it. And I said, with Corey and Andrew, they're doing their due diligence. I know Andrew's been on the phone like crazy and talking to people and talking to myself. We've had some great conversations. I was very fortunate just to kind of sit down and meet him yesterday and we're definitely looking forward to getting this thing rolling here. And you know, I think the Rockets are in good hands, and we're definitely excited to get things going, and it should be an interesting season for sure.
Appreciate it, Jason. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Darren.